opening over and over and over and over. In fact, you can set up a game in the lobby to be white or black, so you could pick. And that way you can hopefully force your opening, and you could practice your openings using Blitz, get a ton of openings to practice games in, and then just go back and look at them and say, okay, that's where I made a mistake. That's where I made. And with the pressure, the fact that you're playing a game, even if you did it as a casual game, the pressure of playing a game, regardless casual or rated, would, I think, help you with learning those opening moves. Now, step aside from the opening, I think we can use it to learn the principles, because you don't have as much time to overthink and think wrong and pick wrong things, because you got to rely on the principles.
Right. The only thing I would say to that is it's got to be somebody who understands and has done some work with the principles, because where people get in trouble is when they have time to think about it. If you think about it, you get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
I should develop the bishop, for instance, but that looks like an interesting idea to move something a second time. You get distracted.
Yes.
So if you understand that I've only got seconds to make a move, I know what the right move should be. Move the bishop.
Yep.
So, but you've got to know to move the bishop.
Yes.
That's the only thing I would tell you.
I like it. And that actually happened yesterday. So when I was playing, I was like, okay, what can I do? Oh, I said, wait, I'm going to just develop my piece. And so I did it, and I was talking out loud. And so I did it myself, that I started getting distracted and reminded myself, nope, I got to do what I'm supposed to do.
If you think about it, it's human nature. If you're in a rush to go to a meeting, for instance, you're going to take the quickest route there. You're not going to stop and chat with somebody. You're not going to go stop and window shop. You're not going to stop and you're just going to go.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is, you need to know what you're going to do before you say, okay, let's turn the clock on. That's the only thing I'd say to you.
Yes, I agree. And so my students, I mean, you know me, Murph, I if nothing else, I'm preaching over and over and over again the principles. And so it amazes me when I go over their games and they don't develop their pieces. I'm like, how do you have two pieces undeveloped all the way to the end game when you know the first goal of the opening is to develop? You know the second goal in the opening is to develop. You know the third goal in the opening is to develop. And then the fourth goal is king safety, and the next goal is control the center. How could you skip the three first most important goals, not do king safety either half the time, and not control the center? You actually do none of the goals. You just play, right? I don't get it. I don't get it. What is this you're sharing with me, my friend? What are you sharing with me? I don't know. Oh, a game with gridiron. Okay, we can look at that. Let me go over some of Murph's games first, and Murph and I can both look at your game, and we'll see what Murph thinks about your game.
Right. So I've got a little black and white. I've got some games, 2 games I think with white and 2 games with black. The 3 and 4, if we're going to really look at things, are the 2 best games.
Okay, let's just jump to those in case we don't have enough time. Right. I do notice you won them all, and I prefer losses because I think you learn more from losses, but we can learn from wins, and I have no problem. If you keep winning, you don't have losses to show me, so no big deal, right?
Okay, now before you start this game.
Oh, too late. Okay, let me back up.
This game is the reason that I want to have these classes, because at some point here, there's about 10 moves for both of us where we're just sort of moving and not really, there's no plan, there's no, it doesn't develop. And it's like one of those things we were just talking about. What do I do? So, we learn openings and we have the principles, and then we get into the middle game and it's like, okay, what do I do?
I can help you. So the beauty of that question is that besides the principles, I give you, and I've taught you, and we're going to use it again, especially good with correspondence. When you are fully developed, or you're 2 steps or more ahead in development, you're supposed to do something. Do you remember what it is?
Attack.
No, you may end up attacking, but there's something you do to decide if and where and when you should attack. So if you're fully developed and or you're 2 steps or more ahead in development, it's a puzzle-worthy moment besides other puzzle-worthy moments, right? That means it's a puzzle-worthy moment. Fully developed, I even allow you one step away. You could be one step away from fully developed, or you're 2 steps ahead in development. You're supposed to treat it as a puzzle-worthy moment.
Okay.
Doesn't mean attack yet. Now, if it's a puzzle-worthy moment, what are you supposed to do? There's something you're supposed to do if the situation is a puzzle-worthy moment. What are you supposed to do?
I don't know.
You analyze the position.
Okay.
I need you in your games, when you get to that puzzle-worthy moment, when you get to the point when you go, okay, I don't know what to do. I've developed, I don't see any obvious attacks. I don't see any obvious things to do. You analyze the position. And by analysis, we want to identify if you're winning, if you're losing, and why. Right? That's how we've been doing analysis. You can also use organizational development, and you can say, I want to do a SWOT analysis. I want to know the strengths of my position, the weaknesses of my position. I want to know if there's any opportunities, and I want to know what the threats are. That's a SWOT analysis for any of you guys that don't do, you're not into business organizational improvement. I actually wrote a book on organizational development. I had a master's degree in it. And SWOT analysis is one of many tools you can use. So a SWOT analysis is I'm going to look at my strengths. In other words, what are my pluses? My weaknesses, what are my minuses? What are my opportunities? Can I attack? Check, right? Check captures and attacks. Those might be opportunities. But also I'll look for other things that tells me about opportunities. And I'm going to identify threats. What are the opportunities my opponent has against me? Am I cramped? Is my king exposed? Is my piece is poorly placed? Right? And these all blend together because your strengths many times are going to point out your weaknesses and vice versa. And your weaknesses will show you about your threats, and your strengths will show you your opportunities. So they all blend together.
Can we apply that to this game? Because
yes,
I understand what you're talking about.
Good.
But I don't know how that really tells me what to do. But go ahead.
Good. Then we will do it, and we will do it for both of these games, and then we will go forward beyond that and ask you to do the very next game you put in here. Even if you don't do a good job during the game, I want you to do a SWOT analysis. And I usually offer that you should have at least 3 puzzle-worthy moments in any game. Now, you might have a game that ends in 5 moves, 6 moves, and yeah, okay, fine. But in any full-length normal game where you get an opening, middle, and you actually get an end game, you definitely should have had at least 3 puzzle-worthy moments. So that means in a correspondence game where you have no time problems, you should have had 3 times that you did a SWOT analysis. I want you to do the analysis during a sit-down game. For game in 30s, what we run our tournaments at. I want my students to do at least 3 analysis during that game, which means they have to do the analysis really quick because they have a lot less time, right? They have 30 minutes apiece, them and their opponent. They're going to have a max of an hour, and that's if their opponent uses all their time. Anyway, so let's go through this game. You'll get to the point. I will give my, because I can't help myself, I'll give my, what was that? Or what are they doing? I'll give those throughout, but you stop me when we get to the point where you go, okay, this is where I was stuck. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it looks like you're playing the King's Indian defense. Love it. I'm waiting for E5. I'm waiting for E5. I'm waiting for E5. I'm waiting for E5. Okay. So King's Indian defense, the way I play it and the way I play the King's Indian attack is I definitely want to get E5 in. And you have not gotten E5 in. So it's a little odd to me the way you're playing it. And so if you're supposed, remember, in an opening normally, if white knows this is what you want to do, then if I can do it first and take away that opportunity from you, I might do that just to get you out of what the opening calls for. And so we get into, and I feel already trades are a-coming, right? Because of this move you just made, you're like already inviting trades. I mean, it's just, I might be wrong.
Right. Now, your E5, E6 that you're talking about, E5, I from the little I've tried to learn this opening, the concern is more to move d6 to prevent your knight from being attacked. I didn't get any
No,
idea
see,
about
see.
E.
Okay, so D6, as far as I understand, the King's Indian is a um, support for E5. And
Okay.
the reason we play the knight here to D7, remember it also works in reverse. One of the reasons I like the King's Indian is you can play it as black or as white. And I know for a fact, as white, I want my knight in front of my queen, because what happens is, many times when you're playing the King's Indian, you're playing against the D pawn. All right, so what happens is, let me say welcome. Flavio! Welcome back, mi amigo. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in so long. 1 second, Murph. I'm so sorry. Flavio, it is so good to see you in chat. Yes, hi, hello, great. Man, welcome back. I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays, and I've been playing a few games on chess.com, and one of the people that it keeps suggesting I play is you, Flavio, and I haven't because I know you're busy and I'm busy, but yes, nice to see you. Oh, man, great to see you. All right, so Murph, the knight here is because many times you're playing against a d4 situation. So let's go back. Let's say he castles. I don't want to even, let's say before he castles, let's just say he plays here, right? Let's just, for argument's sake. And now you played here. Now, if I don't have my knight here, say my knight's on c3 or whatever. By the way, this usually happens much early in the opening, Murph. But if we were to trade and this knight were not to be here, if it was earlier in the opening, you could play queen takes queen and ruin my chance to castle, right? We're saying way back when the king is here, before you castle. So the reason I understand d6 and knight to d7 or d3 and knight to d2 is so that I can play e4 or e5 and not worry about my queen being taken off and ruining my chance to castle. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's why it's there. So you not playing e5 to me is like, but that's part of the point. In fact, you play e5 even if they play d4. Now, here's the fun part. You're playing a King's Indian defense setup, but he didn't play d4, he played e4. So King's Indian is normally against d4.
Right.
King's Indian attack, I don't care what you play, so you can end up playing against e5 because King's Indian attack, I'm playing, right? I'm going first. It's a little different. But yeah, it's an answer for you to play against d4. So you're playing it against e4. Little different. But if I want to keep to the spirit of the opening, I still want to get e5 in. All right, so that's all that is. So we get here. If you had taken with the bishop, then he couldn't push the pawn. If you had taken with the pawn, and I know doubled your pawns, moving it out of the center, he still couldn't push the pawn, and you'd have a semi-open file to try to load up on. So those are different variations you could think about. If you're taken with the bishop, you're threatening to double his pawns, and of course, if he attacks, you could just drop back in. And you don't care because if he pushes, you have 2 pieces on it. But because you took with the knight, you don't. So,
well, the bishop is also helping for protection, so you don't want to just. I don't think I'd want to trade him right away.
No,
because
you don't have to. You don't have to take this.
Okay.
But I'm saying that would have been an opportunity, possibly. Right? You don't have to. But if you had taken with the bishop, you'd have that opportunity. So look at it. So if I look at it this way, you have this square now covered multiple times. You're hitting this square. Your bishop is alive already, right? It's not blocked in by your knight. So let's say he says, well, I'm going to attack that pawn. It's not protected. You got multiple choices. I can protect it with a king. I'm not going to do this one because I don't want to block my bishop's retreat. All right, and I could just bring the bishop back like you're saying, but I still have the open diagonal for my bishop from It's alive right now. It's alive. I don't have to worry about getting that bishop activated. It's active. And almost no matter what he does, I can still play e5. Because if he takes, I can take with the pawn. He can't take to try to get to my queen. My queen is protected anyway. I still get this. Yes, now my bishop is blunted again. But the point is that it was there for me to do what I wanted. I could have actually taken this way if I wanted to. But if he took this way, I'm still not going to take with the bishop and give up this pawn. So we're still going to get to this anyway. All right. But that's all opening theory, which you can look up, right? You can look this up. We can do the master database. There are, by the way, no master games at this position. Not just you didn't follow the same moves. There's no master games with this being the position. All right, so let's keep going. So you get this move, but again, I would have played this move first, and then definitely gotten this move in maybe after that, because this is a normal move. The queen a lot of times goes here. The bishop is free to go. Okay, but anyway, you get the idea. But he pushes first on you. You feel compelled to take. You didn't have to. You could have just moved your knight and say you could take, and I'll just take back that way. So it just depends on which way you want a semi-open file. Right? Remember, you don't have to take.
Right.
Okay. But you did, and he took back. And now, like I said, opening-wise, I feel like we're getting into a position where a lot of trades may happen. You have a nice discovered attack on the knight. Okay. And you're threatening to double up pawns. He takes first. You have a choice now. Right? Our reflex is to take back. Our reflex is to take back. I know you took with the queen. But you should also consider the fact that you could have taken this way. Not saying it's the better move. I'm saying you should have made sure that it's, especially in a correspondence game, that you considered this. Okay. But what happens a lot of times is, oh, he just took a piece, so we're only thinking about killing the one that took it. I don't have to. I could have killed him. By the way, either one I take, the other one is still under attack or in pre, right? The other one, whichever one I take, the other one is still under attack and not protected. This one's kind of nice because I'm threatening the pawn. Threatening a pawn, but this one's protected. It activates my queen. I developed another piece instead of moving a piece twice in the opening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like this choice. Yeah, I'm not crazy about him being here. I'd much rather have been on e5, but otherwise I like it. And he can't get back to here to protect the pawn because that isn't where he goes. He could do something like this to try to stop you, and you could chase, and we can get it can get weird. Okay, let's see what happens. He does go there. Okay, you go b5, what we just said. If I'm him, I'm going here, and then going to put some hurt on that pawn. He does. Okay. Pretty much playing out how I'm anticipating. What don't I like about this move? I'm pretty sure you know what I don't like. I named it after you. You're murphing this pawn.
Right.
It's still your center pawn. We still want to move it, and you made it where you can't move. So, first reason I don't like it is you murphed the pawn. Second reason is you're enticing him to play chase the queen, and when he plays chase the queen, he will put his rook in a better position than it was. He's now going to put his rook on a semi-open file. You encouraged it. So before we get to the point where you are saying, I don't know what to do next, these decisions are important for you to be a better player. Where else? You obviously want to protect the pawn.
Right.
And you can do that from multiple positions. This one, obviously, no good, because the knight would take you. This one feels bad because he could do things like push more pawns at you. So that leads me down to these two. Well, I don't like murphing the pawn and encouraging development. So really, I don't even need you to think hard. I think you do. I don't need you to think hard. I need you to identify all four possibilities, and then you could disavow, 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 and you're down to one choice that makes any sense to me. So to me, this would have been what we call a no-brainer. This should have been an easy choice for you to make because nothing else makes sense. The other three choices. But anyway, you went here, and he did what he should, which is not developing. We don't call it developing, but it is putting the rook on a better square. So he's improved the rook's position. So now you end up going where I thought you should have went in the first place. So what happened? You wasted a tempo, right? From here, if you had went straight here, he could have still went here. And then whose move is it? It's black's move, right? So if you went here and he went here, it's now black's move. And by the way, if you look at the meter, black is killing because this knight's going to fall, of course. So he can't even do that. He can't even take the time to do that. He's got to move his knight. So he's got to move his knight here, here, or here, or here. And that will give him two attackers. So that might be fun for him. But that's it. I mean, he has no other choices, right? Because he can't go here or here. All right, or here. So this would have made it where then your move sooner, and he would have had to deal with the attack. This, he can keep attacking you. And now he has to deal with the knight. He does go to here. You find this move. Very nice move, Murph. You found it. It's the only move you have to protect the pawn. And if he takes, of course, you could take back. Your queen is pinned. The pawn is pinned. But that's okay. You can survive that too. So you're actually doing fine. All right. And then you did rook to A to C8. Maybe because you want to free the queen to let him do other things. You always have to decide which rook to use as an example of something you have to deal with. He just decides to keep pushing the pawn. You decide to take. I don't have a problem with that. He takes with the queen. He's offering trades again. And I think here I'm taking the trade because I see a free pawn. But he gets a free pawn. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, but then he loses this pawn. But then you could lose this pawn. You see all the trading that's going to happen if you take? Mm-hmm. You take, he takes, you take. He takes. You could take your rook and take again. And he could take. And then you could take. And then he could take.
From the moves that were done so far.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could have taken the pawn with the bishop.
Yeah.
He had to take the queen and offer the trade.
Yeah, he could have done this and been more aggressive, in a sense, more aggressive.
Is there a sense that first time playing each other, we don't really know each other, but he or she's got to feel that I'm as good as the person that I'm playing or better, and I'm going to go to an end game and trade the queens?
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's just their proclivity. Maybe they just, they don't mind trading.
Should you be thinking that way?
Nah. I always try to play the board because the way that you would do what you're asking is you'd look at the ratings and say, oh, we're the same rating. 10 points difference. Yeah, we're probably equal. Let me see if I can. So what does that mean? I mean, are you equal because you're better in the opening than they are? And so you win most of your games in the opening? Are you better at the middle game? Or are you better at the end game? Because if you're better at the end game and they're better in the middle game and you've effectively traded off everything, then they probably won't take with the queen if they go, well, I'm better at the middle game, not at the end game, because I don't want to go to the end game.
Right.
I want to find advantages, opportunities in the middle game. So it totally depends on where your strengths, we get back to that, not just for the position. Because when we analyze for the SWOT analysis, we're talking about analyzing the position. But you could also just look at your skill set and say, what are my strengths, weaknesses? What are my strengths and weaknesses? Okay, so we trade. You do not have to take this pawn. You can chase the bishop, but then you allow him to protect the pawn. So you've got to calculate which way am I better. You decide to go this way. The other way would have been to say take. This would have been the pawn they could take. Now they're threatening. but you got threats over here too, right? And so you could take. My assumption is they would take. You would take. And now they could take this pawn. You could threaten the bishop, but then they could take. Right? You can't go here because you just take. But I feel like threatening the bishop might be your best play anyway. He doesn't have to take. He could just back up here and protect the back rank from checkmate. You could have tried to be tricky and go here, threatening back rank mate also. But this pawn is, it's very poorly protected. So I could take with check first. Now what do I do? If I go here, I'm okay because you can't run away. But you could just run back to here. And I can't throw in my checkmate still. So anyway, you'd have to be figuring all that out. Because at this point, it's very drawish, right? You could just push this pawn. You're going to be able to protect that pawn. You're doubled up on, but you have two pieces protecting it. Unfortunately, your rook is kind of hampered for longevity because he's saddled with protecting it for the moment. But you can't get much more equal than opposite colored bishops. Both of you having pawns. Nobody having a passed pawn, not one passed pawn to be had. All right, so you don't go for that route, which is fine because that would have been very equal. He goes back to protect, and interesting. I would have thought you would have went the whole way because then you would have won the bishop as your threat, right? This is just, right, thinking aggressively, offensively. You're threatening to win the bishop right now. So you're making him deal with it. And he's got to deal with it somehow. And after he deals with it, then you move on to the next threat, right? You have an open file you want to play on, but he can't play on the open file yet because he'll lose the bishop. So
if he just pushes the C pawn and then backs the bishop up, can't he do that?
Sure. How far do you want him to push the C pawn? 2 or 1? You're saying 1?
I'm saying 1, yeah.
Okay, so he pushes 1. And now it's our move. So I can push him away. And now you have to go here or here. And then you would separate your rooks. So that'd be bad. And then I go fight for the open file. Nothing wrong with this. I'm happy. I can do this.
I thought you were saying I was winning the bishop.
No. Never said you're winning the bishop. I just said this is a way.
So
this is just a way to play where you're playing more aggressive than passive. That's what I'm saying. You're playing more aggressive than passive.
Okay. Yeah, no, we played defensive and just moved the pawn out to protect.
Yep. Okay, you did go on the open file. And now, yeah, so this hurts because, principle. You fight for the open file. You have to realize he's going to fight for the open file. That's what you do. You got to fight for the open file. So you know he's going to put a rook here. So I don't know what this move was. Unless you were fantasizing coming here, and then you realized afterwards, like, oh, I can't go there. I don't get the rook lift otherwise. Because I'm thinking you can rook lift to here, or this rook to here, so you could double on the file. You can't really win the file because he has 3 pieces hitting it, but that's how you would play this game. And you're this is still extremely drawish. Because you still have 4 against 3 pawns over here, and then you have 3 against 2 pawns over here, and you have opposite colored bishops. You have 1 open file to fight for. This should be a draw. This should end up being a draw. Okay, but anyway, so I didn't get this move at all. Don't know what we were doing, and you seem to agree because you just said, I'll go back. All right, you just said, oops. He takes, you take, and now you have the open file, except all he has to do is fight for the open file. This person understands endgame play, fights for the open file. You have to decide, do I want to trade? Do I want to put his bishop here? Do I want to leave his bishop here? Do I want to put my bishop here? Because I can protect, and that way let him take first, then I take back. Neither one of you can anchor it on a pawn because the bishop, and he can't anchor his with a pawn because of the bishop. So you have to decide, do I want my bishop here or do I want his bishop there? And if you don't care either way, then just take.
What's the significance of having the file?
So the file means that it's the only open file for rooks to play upon. So you want to own it so that you can put your rooks on that file and he can't do anything about it. Then you can possibly get your rooks down to the 7th. We know we like pigs on the 7th. But okay. It's the only, so all pieces want open pathways. Okay, so this bishop has an open pathway because you didn't put any of your pawns in the way.
Okay.
This bishop has a little bit of an open pathway, right? So do you. You have 3 squares, he has 2. So the bishops are going to combat, and your pawns, mostly being on white, are restricting his bishop. And if you notice, his pawns are on black, so this bishop would have a lot of freedom. He's not restricting his own piece. Same thing with the rooks. So this rook would love to own this open file, would love for your rook to be off of this file, white's rook to be off of that file, because if this bishop wasn't covering the square, I can go here, but I can also still, if that rook was, let's say that rook were here. Let's say the rook just, for whatever reason, the rook didn't go. Let's say the rook makes a mistake and goes here. And so now you can infiltrate through that open file. So now you're attacking that pawn. You're attacking this pawn. He could protect this pawn, but then his rook becomes a purely defensive piece, as we know is bad in general. So the idea is that I want to own the file so I can have freedom of movement. Bobby Fischer preached freedom of movement. He called it something else, mobility. But freedom of movement was like critical. He would sacrifice material to open up his bishops, to give his rooks places to go, to open up his queen, to give his knight jumping squares. He'd sacrifice material. I mean, like 3 points. He'd give up a bishop or a knight, a rook, so that he would have open lines for his pieces. That's how important it is to have open lines. So, in this case, you chose not to trade, and you chose to give him an in if he wants to get into your background. And unfortunately, you're hitting a pawn that's protected. So I don't like this move, mostly because you're kind of giving him an advantage when the game was dead equal. So I think you really had no choice. You would just take. Like I said, the other choice, besides taking, is one choice, right? That's one choice. You could just take. And then he would take, and then you hopefully get your king into this game as fast as possible. And hopefully he doesn't know that and doesn't get his king in the game as fast as possible. Your other choice, I would have thought, would have been to go here, because again, he wants the file. He shouldn't get out of the way and give it to you. So he's going to take, and you're going to take, and now your bishop has this, and his bishop needs to move somewhere to get back into the game. He has to make more moves than you do, but it's still at this point, you need to get your king into the game. That's what I would have expected. Okay, so let's go on with this. And now you moved your rook once. Now you moved it again. He's happy to just own the file. He doesn't take. Why doesn't he take? Because he would actually create, and you could take with the rook. Actually, that might even be better, because now you're attacking the bishop and x-raying. You're x-raying through to the pawn. So if he moves the bishop, you win the pawn. And if he doesn't move the bishop, of course, you win the bishop. So, yeah, so he can't take. So this move really wasn't that great.
He'd get my bishop, too. I mean, my pawn also, if he moves the bishop.
Oh, yeah, like here.
All right.
Yeah, and he could take this pawn, but then you're going to get this one. And we're back to, now you're up a pawn.
Right.
You just won 3 of his pawns, and you only lost 2 of yours.
Okay.
So, yeah, he'd be losing. So he can't take. So this move is dubious. What we call dubious, because it's like, why'd you do that? You can't take anyway. So he doesn't take, and he pushes. If I'm you, I'm probably going to push. You see why? This is just endgame play, by the way. I don't even know if it's the right move, but to me it feels right. If he takes, I get to take again with the same threat, and now he can't even put the bishop there. Right? If he takes, I take. The bishop can't go here, and now his rook can protect, but he's going to drop that pawn. So I think I'm winning. And if he pushes, which is the most logical way to stop me, I get to take that pawn anyway.
Right, which is what eventually happened.
Oh, is it? Oh, it is what happened. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look.
This is a long game. This went about 50 moves.
Okay. Oh, you did do that move. Again, I don't know if it was the best move, but it's the move I would have made, especially in a faster game. Mistake in my mind, because where you weak, that pawn is not defended. So I would have come here, because this bishop, that pawn is not going anywhere. Right? We call this a blockade. Again, a principle or strategic positional consideration. There's tactics and there's positional. This is positional. It's called the blockade. You put a piece in front of a passed pawn, and that passed pawn can't go forward because any pawn can only take diagonally. So this pawn is stuck. The pawn by itself cannot move. You either have to sack here to get the bishop out of the way, but then the bishop could take it when it moves. But that pawn right now cannot move. One of the best pieces to blockade with is a knight. Because a knight, because of the way it moves, if it's blockading this pawn, that knight would still attack all these squares. While the bishop, even if you get rid of this pawn, that bishop attacks these squares. So the knight gets more freedom, usually, blockading a pawn than a bishop, but the bishop's fine. A rook can do it, a king can do it, a queen can blockade a pawn. So right now, that bishop is blockading the pawn. So how do you protect this pawn? Because it looks like the only way you could protect it is to do this.
Right.
And if you decide not to protect it, I don't think white's going to mind. Now, I have two choices. I can go here, but then your rook might try to sneak back out. But here would be to try to keep your king in check. Not literally, but keep him out of play. I can actually just start pushing this pawn. Don't like that one as much. I could go here. And now I'm attacking both pawns because they're not protecting each other. And now your bishop, if he doesn't want to drop this pawn, has to protect the pawn. You can't come here and just attack the rook because I'll just take the pawn. So let's say you protect the pawn. So for me as white, I'm actually very happy. Your bishop is tied down to protecting this pawn. Your rook is tied down to protecting this pawn. My rook has some scope and it's doing all the attacking. So guess what? It's time for me to get my king involved. And if I can get my king over here and either, I can't hit your bishop because it's protected. But if I can get my king into the game at the right moment, I'm going to push this pawn. And I want to get my king someplace like here so you can't skewer my pawn to my rook. Anyway, that's how I would have played it. But this, I think, I don't know what that does for him because now you get to do this move with tempo, right? You get to do the move and attack him. Interesting choice. I like it because this, we just said, this is the best square for that rook to go to. You just took away the best square for that rook to go to. So I like the move. Nice move. He's trying to be able to push the pawn. Okay. Understood. You attack the pawn that's his weak pawn. If you're looking for minuses or strengths and weaknesses, that pawn is weak. You get to snatch the pawn. And now if we can connect these two pawns, white would be in trouble. He doesn't have to allow it. He has a lot of ways to try to stop you. But let's see what he does. He just pushes. Okay. He just pushes. So you can attack it. And then he has to defend it. So let's see what happens. Okay. You block it. Look at you. You blockade the pawn. Nice. And again, he makes a move that I don't agree with. This is a normal tactic to be able to attack the bishop. You could go here and protect it. You might, yeah, you can't just run away though. So that's interesting. But anyway, let's see. So that's interesting. I do like that you protect your pawn. And by the way, right now, black is winning per the computer. Almost 2 whole points. Attacking the pawn that's not defended. And he protects it and blockades this pawn, but not this one. So you can keep pushing past pawns. Don't know that you needed to worry about that yet. I think you do have to worry about this move. Attacking your bishop. So I don't know that you needed to move your king, and he does come after you. You get to push. By the way, it says here this is not the best move because you were here. You're winning by 1.7 by going where you went. It actually says now you're behind. Where are you supposed to go? I'm not 100% sure. You could sack the rook for the pawn, but that doesn't feel smart. But you could, because you have 2 passed pawns on the other side of the world. But why give him a full rook? Yeah, I'm not seeing what he wanted, what the computer thinks you should have done. Don't quite see it. Don't quite see it. Anybody out there think they see it? Let me know. But I don't quite see it. All right, moving on. You push the pawn. He just decides to take it because he's going to take yours back anyway. Whoa, okay. You got rid of the pawn. That's probably better. Yeah, if you had taken, he would have taken, but then I'm thinking you can attack the pawn and he can't stop you from, but yeah, no, this is fine. I mean, you just, right now, you still have a passed pawn plus, you have a passed pawn plus you're up a pawn above that. So you are way ahead. Agreed?
Right.
So I like it that you got rid of the pawn because that's his only chance. That was his chance to win the game. Now I felt it all the winning.
It was a forced move because if he didn't take the pawn, it's going to promote.
Yeah. So I was thinking,
like if he took the bishop there,
then you push again.
Right,
but it doesn't have to promote.
Right, but if you promote it. If he takes it, I take it back, and it's check.
Correct. And
so I'm back. I got my bishop back.
But he still has that pawn. Right. I agree with what you're saying, but I'm just saying now he has at least he still has a passed pawn. I think you should still win this because you both have 1 passed pawn, but he still has more pawns than you, and I think he's going to have troubles. But let's say he was able to trade off pawns. Now you're down to only 1 advantage.
Well, I went this far in checking this. So if I move take him, check, even if he came out,
okay.
If my rook comes over to 1 file to C1,
yep,
he can't protect that pawn.
Not yet. No, he has to do this. And let's say you push. He pushes. You push. And this is where I think you're right. Right? Because now, he has to go get the pawn.
Right.
But he can. And that's my point. He could go get the pawn. And now what? You have.
I'm still up a pawn. I'm up 1 pawn.
And it's 1 pawn, and it's not a passed pawn. And you have rooks and a king and 1 passed pawn. Very possible draw. Okay. Very possible draw. But if you did what you did, which is why I'm saying that you were saying he had to take. I don't think he had to take. I think he could have taken here and say, nope, I'm going to keep this passed pawn. But because he took, which worked out for you, I think your move is better because now you end up with, now you have 2 pawn advantage. The other way you only had 1 pawn advantage because he still had his. Now you have a 2 pawn advantage. One of them is a passed pawn. I think this was a great move on your part. Much better than taking the bishop. Why trade the bishops and keep his pawn? You're still equal in material, and you're up.
Right, but what I'm saying to you is the move was his choice. But when I moved my pawn,
You
right,
thought that
that
he
move,
had the take,
right, he's
and I'm
forced.
just saying he didn't. He's not
Right, right.
forced.
But either way, I gotta play.
Yes, I'm thinking he should have taken this way.
Okay.
Now you could have went after the bishop at that point, but then it doesn't matter because then he just sacks it. You take it, and he still has a passed pawn.
Right.
Yeah. So, and A8 is black square. A8. A8 is not a black square. Good bishop for it. It's a white square. A1. Oh, A1 is, yeah. So the bishop is also good for maybe queening the pawn later. Is what Flavio's saying. Yes. But here I think this is better for white than the way he played it. So I don't think he had the take. I think he should have taken here. That's all I'm saying. But it's very enticing to take. But this was good. I'll almost guarantee you he thought you were going to take here. I can almost guarantee you that was probably his analysis that you would take there. This is better. So we like what we see. And again, your bishop is holding what Flavio just talked about. Has the chance to hold that square. Not sure what this one is, unless you're thinking you're going to come back here and do something here. Don't understand why we moved it again. Where did it come from? Okay, it came from here. Oh, you're doing this so you can protect the pawn. Okay, I'm with you now. And you just hold the pawn as long as you can. And okay, I get what you're doing. And the bishop is already protecting the pawn. Okay, good. King is in the game. Bishop says, I'm just going to move around a little bit. And the computer's not crazy about your moves. And
Well,
maybe that's
the bishop
why.
and the pawn now protect each other.
Yeah, I know, but here you're going to lose a pawn.
Right.
Yeah, computer wasn't crazy about that move because that's just a free pawn. I mean, a totally free pawn.
Right.
Yeah, and it happened because of your rook move. You didn't have to go. You didn't. He went here, threatening your rook, and you could have went back so that you could go here as an option, as a difference. You can't go here, of course. Yeah, that's about the only way that you could have protected that pawn. So let's see what happens. Check is good, and he can't leave the pawn unless you get to trade pawns, which you'd be okay with. But this is flat out losing, it says. I mean, you went from being up a pawn to being up 4 pawns. You see that? 4 pawns. Do you know why? Because you didn't make the move. This is one of those.
No, I didn't see it. I saw it later for something else, but I didn't see it here.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
a skewer. You take the pawn, the king takes the rook, and then you put the bishop in between the two of them. Right.
And then he moves wherever he wants, and now you're up. You're up 3 pawns. 2 of them are passed. These 2 are both passed pawns, and he only has a white bishop to stop you. Yeah, you're winning easily. You're up 6 points. The 3 pawns are worth 6 points, not 3 points in this case. So yeah, this is just a tactical move that you'd have to find. Yes, it's a good puzzle. This would be a very good puzzle position. Right? For you, Murph, especially because you didn't see it.
I think I did see it, but I thought I didn't like it because I was afraid that my pawn on the A file has got nowhere to go because the bishop's got it covered. And then it's just I don't know. Maybe I don't know what's good enough for when I get it, but I just didn't like it.
I don't know how if you saw take, check, take, that you would think that wasn't good enough for you to do this for, because that's flat out easily winning.
Well, well, to tell you the truth, at the end of the game, that's what I wind up doing. So I know I saw it.
Okay, let's take a look. Well, you gave up a pawn first.
Right.
A lot of moving around.
This is what I'm talking about. There's
Computer says you're dead even. You're attacking the pawn, but there's no fork going on. Don't know what's up with that. Okay, you're trying to get the pawn to be able to be pushed. Now we have a fork. Yeah, you didn't sack the rook for this fork. So this one is different in the sense, you say you did it anyway, but this one is different in the sense you just have a free rook. The other way, you end up with a 3-pawn advantage, 2 of them passed. So that one is not as clear as, hey, I'm going to get a free rook. Yeah, I think this is obvious that you should do it because you have a free rook.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of unfair.
So I'm looking for too much.
He fell into a fork. Well, you're looking for too much because you missed a simple winning move back here, which is not simple. And if you saw it and your calculations made you feel like, I don't see that I'm winning, that's a problem. I mean, he doesn't have to take. He could try to move away and you still get the fork. He could have moved here and you would say, thank you, because now you can move the king out of the way and the rook is protecting the pawn. You could have moved the king here, maybe even better. Now you have the rook and the king protecting the pawn. He loses. He loses. So if he moves away, you could just go here and you say, I'm winning. My rook is protecting the pawn with the king. You can't take my pawn.
Play it out like he took the rook because I was afraid that my pawn was hanging.
Yeah, I don't get it. So he takes the rook. You take. I mean, you go here. Let's say he tries to get closer, and you take. All right. All right. You're in here. You could play as white. Tell me what you think white can do, because I'm telling you, black wins easily.
I'm realizing that black has got an advantage. I'm not saying that. I don't know. I guess I.
No, it's not just an advantage.
Okay.
He's kicking your butt. Black is kicking butt. What do you want? You tell me what you want white to do.
Okay.
Let's say he goes here. He doesn't have to move the bishop, right? He doesn't have to stop it. So let's say I attack the bishop because I want to free my pawn. So bishop can't go here, can't go here. So I have 1, 2, 3 squares to go to. If I go here, my own king will be restricting me. So I'm going to go here. Okay, for argument's sake, I'm going to go there. Remember this pawn and this pawn, both on black squares. Right?
Right.
So I could start by, now you can't, if you move either pawn, the other one's going to fall. So I could start that way. I could have attacked the pawn, but then you can push it to white if you're smart. Then I could have attacked this pawn, you would have put that one to white. So by doing this, right now, you can't move either pawn. White to move. I don't know what you want to do.
Okay.
I mean, you have to tell me, because let's say you can't move. So let's say you come back here and you say, okay, then I'll make it so I can move my pawns because I want to be able to move my pawns. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to attack.
Okay.
Pass pawns want to be pushed.
I surrender. I get what you're saying.
Because the next one's coming. You know that.
Right.
Okay. Bishop can't come here and attack this one. You really don't have any good moves. Right. You can go here and I can say, great, take it. I'll have a pawn duel there. Right? Oh, well, now you have a weak pawn, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm flat out winning.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even have to think too hard. The king can't attack this pawn at all.
Okay.
And if the bishop tries to attack it, my king can protect it. And soon I'm going to have I'm going to have a pass pawn over here. I have 2 pass pawns over here. That bishop is going to have to try to protect both ends. He can't. So if the bishop tries to attack my pawn, I can go defend it, or I can just start pushing. I'm going to defend it because that's the way I like to roll. And now he might say, okay, well, I'm going to go here to keep that pawn from pushing still. I can go, more power to you, because I get to say check. If you sack the bishop for it, I win easy. If you move the king anywhere, I take the pawn. Right? I mean, again,
okay.
I think hey, Flavio, thanks for that is so nice, man. I do love pawn end games. I do. So then you can run away here, and then my king gets to come in, and I'm going to just keep pushing these pawns. And eventually you're going to have to give up your bishop for 2 pawns, and then this one queens.
Okay.
Yeah. Easy. Seriously, this shouldn't have been... You should have looked at it after this and said, wait, I'll have 1, 2 passed pawns, plus I have 5 pawns versus 2. I don't know why you're hesitating.
Okay.
This should not have been it. This should have been like, resign. White, you could resign. But you don't know if I know what I'm doing, so okay, we can play it out. But I'm going to bring my king back to get the bishop out, and then I can start pushing my pawns, and there's really nothing white can do about it. You're right, this pawn can't move, so what? It's always a threat to move. So while it can't move yet, that bishop can't leave this diagonal. And if the king goes all the way over, more power to you, because you can never take it, because my bishop will be able to hold it from anywhere far away. So your king can come over here and stop my pawn. Okay, so that means I have my king, 4 pawns, and a bishop against 2 pawns and a bishop. I'm going to win that fight. And you could play this against the computer. Let's just play it against the computer where it's...
I
okay.
got what you're saying. Can we look at the next game?
I'm happy to.
Okay.
But let's go.
What you're saying.
But we're failing to do what you wanted. You were supposed to tell me when you got to the move where you said I wasn't sure what to do, and you said you want to know how you figure out what to do. So was there a point in this game where you went, I'm not sure what to do, so you were looking for guidance? You remember? That's what we started.
Well, the point was when I was up by 2 pawns, and then he wound up working better to take one of mine, where I was still dancing around and didn't take his.
Okay, so
I had a 2-pawn advantage.
You're going to have to show me, because right now we're equal in pawns. So we're not at a pawn advantage until now. We're 1 pawn advantage. Now we're at a 2-pawn advantage right here. So is this where you didn't know what to do for sure?
No, after this sequence here where we traded, I felt I had the advantage. So keep going with this and trade these off.
Yeah, you played that very well. I was very happy with that. So here, is this where you were not sure what to do?
From this, what did this go? This game went 55 moves. So at this point, I'm up a pawn. I'm up 2 pawns.
Mm-hmm.
So this
one of them is a pass pawn, and
right.
Yeah, and you're in the end game. It's not the middle game where I thought you were saying that you get stuck in the middle game.
It just felt that I kept him around longer than I needed to. Or maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Well, you had that one opportunity later in the game where you could have tactically won the game pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the answer right there. I should have did that right then.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking for that point where I told you need to do a SWOT analysis. We didn't really have that show up, so that's why I was asking you. Once you do a lot of the trading, you're no longer getting into a complex position where you have to make those decisions. All right, so he's doing a lot of trading. He is. I don't know if it's a he, of course, but we got a lot of trading. I like it. You're developing your pieces. Thank you, God. Look at this. Look at all these beautiful development. And by the way, he hasn't castled. He hasn't moved his bishop. He hasn't moved his queen. He only has 1 piece out on the board. He now has 2. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps in development. He has 2. Guess who's 2 steps or more ahead in development? You.
Mm-hmm.
So you could treat this as a puzzle-worthy moment at this moment, right now. Right now, you could do an analysis. But this isn't the point where you didn't feel like you knew what to do, right?
No, we're still developing here. We're still I haven't castled yet, so we're still feeling each other out.
Okay, one way to think about it. Why did you move the queen more than once? You were doing so well until that moment. You were kicking butt until that move. I was so proud of you until that move. Why would you move the queen more than once, and why there? What is it that you're trying to do? Win this A pawn? I doubt it, because he just pushes this pawn and he traps your bishop. So what was that queen to E3 instead of castling to one side or the other? You have one step left to develop. So if you don't do a SWOT analysis, this is a puzzle-worthy moment. You're 2 steps or more ahead on development. So you should have done a SWOT analysis right now. But if you don't and you say, no, I'll wait one more move, because if I castle, he's still going to be 2 steps behind in development. I don't see anything jumping out at me. I'm going to take the safe road, and I'm just going to finish developing and be fully developed. So you have a choice, castle queenside or castle kingside. You get to choose. But you do neither, and you move your queen again. Flavia says, that's chess for you. All good until a wrong move. Oh. So that move would be the one that I'd be like, you would have to explain it to me. And by the way, I just did all that preaching at you. The computer says you're at 1.4. Watch the bar move. You drop to minus 1.7. Flip totally. You were up a pawn and a half. Now you're down a pawn and a half for that one move. Can you see the threat, why that was a bad move?
I blocked in my bishop.
Yeah. This wins your bishop. Where do you go with your bishop? And you can't even say, oh, I'll be sneaky. If he takes, I'll take with check. Doesn't even work, because when he takes, he's threatening the queen. So if you take, he takes your queen, the checking piece. So that doesn't even work. You just lose the bishop here. So what was this move? Now, Flavia says, were you thinking that he might go here and you wanted to stop it? Because if this was the problem, I think you could have found other ways to stop it. First of all, I think I'd let him do it and castle so that he moves his knight another time in the opening, and I just say, that's fine. I don't care. I'll move my queen then, and buddy, I'm fully developed. I'm a happy camper. If you want to take off this bishop that's right now doing nothing more than a pawn would be doing, it's doing nothing more than what a pawn would be doing. If you're so bent on taking it, so if you're worried about this move, you just move over. Now I'm attacking the knight, and if you take, I could take with the pawn or the queen, my choice, dealer's choice. I still don't like, well, yeah. So DraftKings is asking what happens if they get here and we go here. I wouldn't go here because I'm still trapping my bishop, although the knight is hanging. The knight is hanging. But let's just say, here's fun, right? Let's say he takes here and you say, okay, I'm going to get a new center pawn. So now I'm happy. I got a new center pawn and my bishop is still trapped. And I'm still going to lose the bishop. Right? I'd still lose the bishop. So I'm giving myself that opportunity to still mess up. I'd have to take with the queen. And he still only has one piece developed. But why? Right? Where if I just move here, now I could take with the pawn or with the queen, because my bishop will have a square to go to. What G pawn is hanging? Knight to f4 and then queen e3. It's not so bad, right? Because then after c5, you have queen. Yes, you have queen takes f4. Yes, but again, that wouldn't be, because there's no reason for me to do that. I'm not going to get right. You're saying, oh well, I'll take his, he takes mine, but there's nothing saying he has to take yours. He could take your bishop first. But anyway, all right, Murph. So Yeah, this is the first move. I loved it. I was just lauding you. I was so happy. But this move I don't get because, and the computer says you're now losing. He develops, which in this case was not what it wanted because, as we saw, you trapped your bishop. He didn't see you trapped your bishop. Your bishop is still trapped. Your bishop is still trapped. He didn't see it. And now your bishop is no longer trapped. You have a square to go to. Now you have a square to go to. Interesting. So, again, here, you're fully developed. So at this point, I want you to have done an analysis. If you didn't do it the move before when you were one step away, right, which would have been, actually, if you think about it, if you were one step away, if you had done your analysis here, first of all, you're 2 steps ahead in development, so you should have done it. You're 1 step away from fully developed, so it's a good time to do it. You might say, I'm not sure if I should castle kingside or queenside, so that would be a reason to do it too, if I wasn't sure. So I have a lot of reasons to do my analysis at this time. By the way, you even had this move, pinning the knight. I mean, if you went here, it actually says you're still far ahead. I mean, that's kind of sweet because, right? I mean, the knight can't move. He can't protect the knight with anything. He can't block it. So the knight's just kind of pinned. And you can't chase the queen. The queen has that. I still don't like you moving it more than once, but lo and behold, I don't have to worry about this anymore. And I'm back to, should I castle queenside or kingside? Because if I castle kingside with this, he's probably going to castle queenside at some point. And I might be able to launch if I want, or just be aggressive. Or I can castle queenside so we're both on the same side and I can still be aggressive. I don't know. But anyway, this would have been a playable move if I was going to move the queen more than once. So right here, let's do a SWOT analysis because that is, I think, your next step in evolution. You got to follow the principles and you got to know when you're winning. You need to know when you would be winning because you said you saw that if you did those moves, you'd end up with that position. You should have had that position on a board at home and said, okay, how hard is it for me to win this game? Not, oh, my pawn can't advance. It should just be, can I win this game? How hard is it to win this game? And I hope you would have looked in and said, wait, I got a 3-pawn advantage. 2 of them are passed. I only have 1 bishop to worry about. And I have a bishop also. I think I can win this game pretty easily. And you should have done it. Now, granted, he fell into an easier win because he gave away a full rook for nothing. Where in our way, you end up with 3-pawn advantage. Now you ended up with a rook and 2-pawn advantage. Much easier to win. I can't argue that. But he didn't have to be so generous. All right, so let's do a strength and weakness, opportunity and threat analysis from here. So I usually like to, when I don't usually use the SWOT method when I tell people to analyze. I tell them who's winning, who's losing, and why. But I think it still gets you to the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. So, you want to walk me through it, or do you want me to do this one?
No, I'll do it with you.
Okay. So first, let's say who's winning. So you got to count material. That's the most simplistic way. Is there a material difference?
No.
Outstanding. So the material is the same. In fact, you both have 2 bishops. So you don't even have an imbalance of one of you having 2 knights and a bishop against 2 bishops and a knight. You have the exact same pieces. Exact same pieces. All right. How about center control?
I would say white is. I mean, we've got.
And you can actually count. You can actually count. That's 3 pieces hitting that square, so you own that square. You have no pieces hitting this square, neither does black. You're occupying it, so if that bishop moves, you're technically going to still be occupying. But right now, you have no pieces occupying the square, Neither does black, so let's make that one a wash. You have 1, 2 hitting that square. So white owns these 2 squares. Black owns this square for sure. So you own 2, black owns 1, and 1 is a wash. Nobody owns it. So you're ahead in the center, and you're ahead on the white squares. So if I can get better at the dark squares, that might be my next step, is to attack on the dark squares. Because then I can control all of these squares. And the idea of controlling these squares is akin to owning an open file, that I should be able to use those squares faster than my opponent because I own them, and I can break open also whenever I want. King's safety, I'm 1 step away from king's safety. He does not have king's safety here. This would be the only place he'd have it. Development, I think it's obvious. That's why we're doing the exercise, because you're 4 steps and he has only 2. And it's going to take him at least, because the bishop and the queen both can't occupy that square. So to get fully developed, he's going to have to make a pawn move, or move the queen and move the queen again, right? He's going to have to make not just 1 move, not just castle 2 moves, but he's going to have to do 3 and 4 moves to get the queen in. So he needs 4 moves to be fully developed. You need 1. And so after you fully develop, he can move a piece, but then he still is going to need 2 more moves to get fully developed. Okay? Position. How do you like your bishops? Do you think they're well placed?
Oh, they're in the center, well, sort of in the center of the board. So yeah, I think they're pretty good.
How about this knight? Is he well placed?
He's in his normal spot, so yes.
Yeah. Queen's fine. It's aligned with the king. So again, the only thing I'm waiting for is I need a castle. All right, so let's now. I say you're winning. You're winning because you're ahead 2 steps in development. That's a good enough reason. But let's move on further. You both have 1 center pawn. Yours is in the center, so that's why you own more squares. His pawn is not. He has a weakened king side. The F pawn has been moved, so that's a weakness. If we're looking now for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So our strengths, fully developed, bishops are well placed, looking good. And we just need the castle. So that's a strength. Have a nice center pawn, strength. Our weaknesses, this bishop actually only has 1 square if I were to attack here. Flat out, obvious 1 move tactic to think about. My bishop doesn't have a lot of squares because the knight's in his way, right? He's sitting out here in no man's land. So I might say, you know what? I don't like my bishop sitting out here where it has these troubles. I might drop him back. Okay, that's an option to better that bishop, make him more safe from pawn attacks. What else do I have as far as weaknesses? None. I have no. Oh, well, this bishop could be better if this pawn was out of his way, because then we'd be threatening the knight, right? And we'd have more scope. So this would be great if this pawn wasn't here. Other than that, I feel okay about my pieces. But right now he looks like a tall pawn, except for this diagonal. Okay. How about opportunities? Well, we can pin a knight. If we could get this pawn out of the way, we'd have a check. So maybe if I could play along there. My style, I'd love to get this pawn in here and chase the knight, especially maybe after I pin it. That would be so sweet. Do this, and then if I could win the knight for the pawn, I'd love it. Plus, I can, if my queen is over here, I can get the rook to be lined up with the king. So all those feel really kind of fun. I'd like to do those. Okay. So those are opportunities. How about threats against me? Again, the only threat I see is my bishop really has no place to go. This could come here and threaten both my knight and, my bishop and my queen, and he would trade off my bishop. So the worst case scenario in this scenario is I'd lose my nice bishop, but you don't like your bishops over your knights anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, in your style of play, this isn't much of a threat because you're like, Okay, you're going to trade your tricksy knight for my bishop that's acting like a pawn? Please do that, right? You'd be like, go for it. So I don't see it as a big threat. He could also come here, by the way. Again, threatening the bishop, blunting your bishop from doing anything, but that's another, not a threat, but maybe one of his strengths that he could do, an opportunity that he could do is block up this pawn from moving so your bishop stays stagnant. Your bishop has no place. If he takes, then he gets to fix his pawns in the center, maybe even get a new center pawn. So yeah, maybe this is a threat he might have, or a threat or a plus for him. All right, we'll see you later, Flavio. Thanks so much for stopping by. Yeah, 2 o'clock in the morning where you are? I'm old, man. I can't stay up past 11 without getting a headache. Wow, and 4,000 pics to edit early in the morning. I hope don't do it until tomorrow. It was great to see you, man. Yeah, I missed you. I hope you can come back again. Hey, Murph,
Yep.
Flavio says congrats. I do see the evolution.
Thank you.
And he does miss studying chess. I miss those pawn endgames exercises and the rook endgame study with you. Take care. All right, Flavio, we'll see you later. He says he's seen your improvement. That's awesome. Flavio hasn't seen you in probably over a year.
Right.
All right, so.
Oh no, I know there's improvement. I just would.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so looking at that, Murph, I just went over your strengths, your weaknesses, your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. I didn't go through them all. Let's see. No, that has no scope. That really has no scope. He's not threatening anything here, and he already moved it only one square here. So I don't see any. I don't see any positives for him except for this knight can get a better square. The knight can go to the center square. The knight can get a better square. And other than that, I don't see anything good for him. His bishop is trapped. His queen is trapped. He's going to need to probably push this pawn to activate his bishop, which is just another move he has to make. So, based on all that, Murph, if I told you that stuff, what candidate moves would you find? Give me 3 candidate moves. Based on the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that we just talked about.
Well, we'd like the castle. We could go either side.
Okay, I'll take that as 2 candidate moves. Give me one more.
I guess we'd like to neutralize his threat on my bishop. So we could either move the bishop or move something else to create a space for my bishop.
Okay, so you mean this bishop?
The D4.
Okay, that one wasn't one of the threats. The threat we said was that he can come here and attack your queen and bishop, or he can come here centralizing his knight, attacking the bishop. Granted, you said, I know you're like, please take my bishop with your knight.
Right.
But that's his threats.
Okay.
If you go here, yes, your bishop has no home. So as long as you don't take away the square, right?
Okay, so you're looking at it before. Okay.
Your bishop
so
doesn't need to go here.
Really I got you. The bishop's not a threat right now.
No, but you could make it a threat by making a mistake. But so it was important for you to know that he hasn't. Yeah, so it's important for you to know the bishop has no squares except for this square, but he does have that square. So yes, you could move here and then be able to push that pawn because the bishop would be holding it. So that would be, and if you told me that was your candidate move, the only thing I dislike is he's moving again, but he moved there to take something, right? He didn't just appear there. But that would be viable. He could still get his knight in here, but then you could chase it, he could trade, you could take with the pawn, and you'd be a happy camper. So let's just look at that real quick to get a feel for what that might look like. So this is what it'll look like with black to move. You only have 3 pieces developed. He only has 1. You're still way ahead, but I don't feel like this is as strong as keeping those pieces on the board. So, but that would be a candidate move. All right. I would offer the best, or not the best, but another candidate move. By the way, let's just see what the computer says. Yeah, it says it's a little weaker. So, because I know this is his only threat. Agreed?
Right.
That's his only threat. And the threat is only to improve his knight. Not really a threat on anything that I'm worried about, but it would improve his knight. This move stops the knight from improving, allows me to still do this move, which was a plan I said would be great if I could get that pawn move in, because then I can get this move in, and I'd win the knight because it's pinned, but even if not, I'd chase the knight. Also, the pawn here would keep the knight out of here, and of course, if I'm going to do this, I still have a choice. I could castle this side and give that rook eventually a semi-open file, or I could castle this way and not be anywhere near this opened king side. Do I need to castle right away? No, he has no threats because he has no pieces developed except for this one, because I just made this one no longer a threat to move. It cannot legally move. It cannot legally move. So this would be the move I would want you to find, along with castling, along with dropping the bishop. Those would be 4 good candidate moves. I like this one from an aggressive standpoint. Even though I'm moving the queen twice, I am pinning the knight. I am threatening to make advances at you. I don't know how black wants to play this. Black might say, well, I'm going to go here to go here. Which, in general, I'd be like, okay, so it's going to take you 2 moves to get that bishop to keep this pin from bothering you. I might be okay with that. I might be just fine with that. Because one thing, let's say you go here, I can push this right away. Computer doesn't like it. I do. But I can push this right away. Because what do you want to do? You probably still should do this. You really probably should still do that. No, I don't like that either. Because then I'm going to push the pawn. How about this? You do this, I'm going to push the pawn.
But if he had taken, he's got 2 pawns to your 1, threatening the bishop. Why would you do that?
Good, good. So which one do you want to take with? Pick a pawn.
The F pawn.
Okay, if you took with the D pawn, you'd open up a discovered attack on my bishop.
Okay.
So that's the thought for you. But let's say he takes this way. So I get to take check.
Okay.
I can take the rook. Or if I don't want to lose this bishop for a rook and some advantages, I could try this. I don't like it though, because then the bishop just comes back. So I would take the rook. Now, again, the computer says, nah, this isn't the best moves for black, probably because you're going to lose this guy. And he says, yeah, he's fine. Black is surviving. But again, if I'm playing aggressive, I'm enjoying myself. But yeah, this is not the best. So that's not the best, unfortunately. So, but we're still up right now, 2.5 points. So we're still good. We just got to find the right move. And my move of pushing this pawn is not the right move. That is not the move the computer would say is the right move. Now, I can always wait till he goes here and then move my queen, right? So let's say I go back to the move I like, right? I just want to do that because now I'm threatening a fork too. And so let's say he moves back. I can't do this because then the knight moves and now my queen is under attack, blah, blah, blah. But I could just run the queen away, right? I'm protecting the pawn and I still like what I've got going here. I'm still going to castle. And he didn't develop a new piece, by the way, in all that time. All he did was move the bishop twice. Now, computer says I had better. No idea what better what would be, but it says I had better because it says we have 2.7, and with my last move we got down. So maybe it's moves like this. Always looking for checks, captures, and attacks. Being a little bit aggressive, looking for checks, captures, and attacks. If he blocks with the pawn, you take this pawn. You not threatening the rook, but you're threatening this pawn still. He could block with the queen, but then again, you take here. Now you are threatening the rook. He blocks the pawn, like I said. You could take here. You're threatening this pawn, and you are willing to lose this pawn. I'll give him that pawn, I guess. But you're winning easily here. Okay, per the computer. So the SWOT analysis is basically find your strengths. Your biggest strength here is that you're more developed than your opponent. You're controlling the center. You need to take your strengths and build upon them. You identify your weaknesses. You have none, except for maybe this bishop who doesn't have a home. Plus, this could give you some headaches. So even if you went here and you said, I'm going to take away that square from the knight, like I told you, the knight still has this square. So that's why I wouldn't pick that, but you could go with this, and you could go with this, and he could try to chase your queen, and I don't think you care. You can ignore it because he's got to take, and then you take back, and you might be okay. I don't know. But the point is, find your strengths and your weaknesses. Find your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, and either shore up one of your weaknesses, build on one of your strengths, take away one of their strengths, or attack one of their weaknesses. So attacking their weaknesses and all those things I just said were taking advantage of opportunities. You could say the opportunities would be more when you're taking advantage of their weaknesses. And then threats would be trying to defend against their opportunities. So, but yes, this would be when I would want you to do that, because that would be when you should have, when you're fully developed. And in a correspondence game, you have no reason not to slow down and say, I'm fully developed. I need to make a plan. Planning, you're not even there yet. We're talking about finding best moves, figuring out what to do when you don't know what to do, which we really didn't have that situation so much yet. But the next phase, after you get good at those things and the tactics and the positional principles and using them regularly, the next step is to be able to come up with a plan, especially in a normal, slow game of chess. You need to build a plan. So back here, the plan would be, I would say you pick a square. Like I'm gonna own the square. I'm gonna attack that square and just beat him to death on that square. So I might do things like this, because then even if he goes here, I'm gonna drop it back. I'm gonna attack that square. I'm gonna get my queen on that square. I'm gonna castle and maybe push. I'm gonna, this would be the square. It's near his king. I want to kill that square. I'm gonna own that square, which also tells me I'm attacking king side. But you might also say, well, I want to own this square or this square. I want to own the center. Center's tougher. I want to checkmate him, of course. That's always a plan. But how do I get to that? And usually it's by creating more weaknesses and building on whatever strengths you have. And you can build on those slowly. But yeah, this would not be the way to do it. He missed opportunities. And we're getting into the trading game. And so now, if you check, you have 3 steps in development. You're fully developed, but you've traded off so many pieces that you only have 3, you have developed, and you're castled. He's got developed, granted not aggressively, and all he has to do is castle now. He's going to catch up. He's going to catch up. And if you did a SWOT analysis here, you'd say, well, I've got a 5-pawn island, 2. He has a 4 and a 3. He has a bishop. Opposite color is my bishop. He has a queen. I have a queen. He has 2 rooks. You have 2 rooks. This game just became very drawish. This is very equal. This game is equal again. You have an equal game again. Where back here, this game is not equal in anybody's estimation. You are winning. The computer says that I say you're winning because you're ahead in development. And when you're ahead in development and you're winning, to carry that through, you have to take advantage of that strength. You have to take advantage of your advantages before it goes away. Because if you're not careful, you don't even have to be super careful. If you're not careful, your advantage goes away. And your advantage went away here due to trades. And our advantage is gone, and now we're equal. We're dead equal. And in fact, the computer agrees with me. I didn't even look. You're dead equal. And we gave him that equality, and we did not need to. Here again, he could have pushed your bishop back to here. It would have been the only square you could have went to. But he's still, I mean, there's nothing really that you're attacking. He should just castle this way and be happy. Let's see. Yep. So now you're dead equal. He's fully developed now, and your last two moves. This one I actually like. This one's fine. You put a rook on a semi-open file. Your only semi-open file. This is his semi-open file. You put your rook on your semi-open file. That was a good move. This move, except for keeping this pawn from pushing, don't know that it's doing anything, and you are controlling the square that I can't put a rook on it, but that isn't where he should put his rook, right? He should put his rook on the semi-open file, pointing at your queen. So let's see how it goes. He decides to break it open pretty quick. Probably okay. Let's see. Yeah, he has enough pieces on it. You can take, and he could take back. So yeah, he's probably fine with that. Now you're getting aggressive. I like it. He doesn't have a dark squared bishop for you to worry about. So I kind of like this. If he takes, you take, and you've got dual pawns, not centered. He can, though, go where I just told you the rook belonged on that semi-open file. So if he takes and you take, now your pawn is attacked twice. You're going to have to add a rook to it or move it because you don't have a light squared bishop. He does, which means he should be able to try to get that bishop to play against that pawn also. So he does take, good. And this is where I'm watching games and I don't understand what people are doing. Just saying, Murph, I don't understand that move. Computer didn't mind. Computer says he's still fine. I just don't get it. I mean, maybe he's planning to do that too, but why didn't he just start with that?
Double up the rooks, maybe, is what I thought.
Oh yeah, but this isn't the pawn he wants to attack. He wants to attack the one that's on a white square. If he attacks the one on a black square, your bishop might get to play later. He can also protect it with a... Yeah, I don't get this move. It's got to be to go here, but why not just... Why not lead with the... Maybe he doesn't want to lead... I don't get it. All right, so I'm not sure what he's doing either. It is on a white square, so I'm a little worried. And I want to do this. I want to get alignment against his queen. So I'm not sure what that move was either. He does go to double his... I don't get it. You didn't even have to move your rook, by the way, and you had two pieces protecting it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you didn't even have to do anything, and you still had two pieces protecting it. Nothing wrong with tripling up. And now his only threat is that, but it doesn't work because I can take that way. So I don't understand what he's doing. I don't think it's good play. I like your bishop coming back and starting to cause trouble because your bishop is doing nothing, right? He's not well developed. Your bishop is not doing anything. In fact, he can even do this and make your bishop have to go here to get back to do something. But, okay, so we get push first. Okay, let's see. I like the aggression. Does it work? Yeah, because the bishop's holding your queen. So it looks safe. Yeah, why not? Yeah, it makes his rook's moves silly. I like it. Mikey likes it. Now you have this move, which doesn't trap the rook because he could go all the way over there. But I like it. I like that move a lot. Is that what you did? Yeah, that's what you did. And the rook goes back, and you're like, this is fun. Because, right, he's just moving his pieces all around. He does have 3 attacking, and you have 3 protecting. But unfortunately, that means this is not a playable move, really, because you'd lose this pawn. So, going after here. Nice. Okay. But it's protected, well protected. hey, here comes that move that he should have done. You